Well, it's day 11 of the To Your Best Health Summit. Today, we are starting off the week with Hilary Bilkis, and she's going to talk to us about a lot of things, probably, but the one thing that we are going to focus on is light touch therapies, which is something I'm really interested in. I would give you a whole background on it and stuff, but I really don't know much about it, and that's why we have Hilary here. So, I don't want to give Hilary's history just like the other speakers because I think that they can give their own experience a little bit better and how they, and to me, what's really juicy and important is how they got to where they are, right? Because if you really enjoy what you're doing, I want to know how you got to, doing something you enjoy. So Hilary, thank you for being here. And if you... Welcome. Hilary and I actually know each other from a women's group, and I know some of the things that she does. So I really love Hilary. So I'm glad to have her on here. So Hilary, tell us how you got through, to where you are now, and were you always interested? Is this something new? What's going on?
Well, it was actually a very interesting journey. I have a master's degree in teaching English, secondary education. I was living in Manhattan at the time, didn't want to work for the Board of Ed because my student teaching experience taught me I probably would have been chewed up and spit out within a matter of minutes. So I couldn't find a teaching job, and I met some women that went back to school for massage therapy. And when I thought about doing massage therapy, it was like I saw all these doors open for me in this long hallway, and I kind of got the sense that I would still be able to be teaching, but in a way where that it was more one-on-one, very personal, and no politics involved. So I went back to school for massage therapy, and I really enjoyed that. And as a massage therapist, to maintain your license, you're required to take additional classes. So I took a class about cranial sacral therapy, and from the minute, I'm remembering to look in the camera, from the minute I started in the class, I had it in my hands. Other people were struggling, and I felt everything the instructor was talking about, and that was a huge awakening for me. And then I just continued with the work, and I learned cranial sacral therapy and some other modalities as well. But that's how I started. It felt like a gift from the very beginning.
You started with the cranial sacral, and then you added things as you went, as you found other things that worked for people. I know that there's so many different things that you actually know about, but tell us about a couple more of the types of things that you do now.
Well, I don't even know if people know what cranial sacral therapy is. A lot of people don't. So the premise of cranial sacral therapy is that you're working with the cranial sacral system, which is your brain, the membranes of the brain, the spinal cord, the dural tube, which is all the membranes, and your sacrum. And you're actually working with your nervous system, and it helps to restore balance to the nervous system. It helps to quiet the stress reflex, because so many of us are living in that fright or flight, sympathetic go, go, go mode all the time, that the other part of the nervous system that's responsible for rest, restore, repair, and rejuvenate doesn't even get to come on. And so what happens is things in the body just start not working so well, and a lot of times people go to the doctor, and the doctor can't find anything wrong with them because it's really just the nervous system that is not functioning efficiently. And our sensory nervous system is residing in the connective tissue, which is sort of like this new frontier of discovery now that scientists have the technology to explore it. In the past 20 years, what they've discovered is that what used to be thought of as packing material for the body, like packing peanuts, they would do a dissection, they would take out all this extra stuff to get to the muscles and the organs, and they would throw it in the garbage. But now they're finding out that it's actually a receptive and adaptive system, and that part of your nervous system, your sensory nerves, live there. And so as a craniosacral therapist, I'm also working with that tissue, helping full body communication restore itself. And so anytime you've had any sort of injury or trauma, those incidents can get stuck and stored in the tissue. And so another, I don't want to say add-on or an adjunct to craniosacral therapy is visceral mobilization, which is another thing that I also practice. And what that's about is that all your organs are supposed to be moving. Everything in your body is supposed to be sliding and gliding on the inside. And when you have restrictions in the organs, it can manifest as neck pain, it can manifest as shoulder pain, it can manifest as knee pain, low back pain, and people go for massages and, chiropractic and acupuncture, which are all really wonderful modalities, but it's not getting to the root cause, which is actually coming from the organ. So that's a little bit about the visceral mobility aspect of what I do.
Sorry, I was taking notes because those are some words I've never heard before. So with the cranial sacral therapy, if somebody came to your office, what would that look like? I mean, just so when people go, oh, I don't know if I want to try this because I don't even know what that would look like. And, I like to know what's going to happen before I get there.
So, like reasons why people are calling me or what it is.
Well, right. So, yeah, give us reasons why they would come to you and then what they would expect when they arrived.
Okay, so I get phone calls. I work mostly with women. I do work with some children and the random male. So people usually call because they're experiencing headaches, migraines, TMJ, low back pain, digestive issues, trouble breathing, anxiety. You can see it sort of runs the gamut of what people call for, and it's usually some sort of body pain, and there are some people that are really just coming for the energy work that happens with the work that I do. So what to expect? You would come in. I have an extensive intake on my website that I have people fill out because I really need to know what's going on in your body as a whole system, not just the bits and pieces of what's not feeling well. So I want to learn from them where they're experiencing pain, what kind of issues they're having from their body, if they've had any surgeries, if they've had any injuries, any car accidents. And a lot of times people won't put that stuff down on their form. And then as we're working, I can feel some things in their body, and I would say to them, did you have a car accident? Did you have whiplash? I'm like, oh, it was just a little fender bender, but the body remembers everything. So what someone may sort of write off as just a little injury, sometimes in the body, it's actually much bigger than what we perceive. And so the tissues remember everything, and it doesn't matter if it was last week, 13, or 20 years ago. It all gets stored in there. And the beautiful thing about the body is that it learns to adapt and accommodate to our daily life because we have to keep functioning. And then one day it can't accommodate anymore, and that's usually when pain, disease, or dysfunction starts. So we do the intake, and then I'll do a standing scan of the body, and I do that visually, and I also do that with my hands, and then I'll get the clients on the table, and again I'll scan the body. So I'm always reading the tissue. I don't know how else to explain it. Some people joke that my hands have eyeballs in them, but I'm scanning the tissue, and I'm following the patterns, and I'm looking for where I either feel a disruption, where I feel like I've come to a wall that I can't go any further, where I feel excessive heat. Sometimes things feel really cold, sometimes things are moving, sometimes things aren't moving, but I'm looking for anything that feels different. And I like to liken a session to an archaeological dig because I'm going layer by layer, or it's like Hansel and Gretel following the breadcrumbs. So someone may come in saying that they're having horrible left shoulder pain, but the body is leading me to start, let's say, in their right hip, because everything is connected. So an injury that someone may have had in the right hip, or even I had someone who had an appendectomy. So your appendix is on the lower quadrant of your right side in your pelvis. She had an appendectomy many years ago, and what happened was the scar tissue from the laparoscopic surgery caused so much disruption with the tissue in her body, right? It's just a couple little tiny, like not so big marks on the outside, but it created so much scar tissue in the body that it worked all the way up, and she was having horrible shoulder pain. Mm-hmm. And so we worked to release that, and the pain in the shoulder went away. So I hear that question, what is the work? What does it look like? So I use my hands. It's a very gentle holding. Sometimes I'll describe it as like sandwiching the body in between my two hands, engaging with the tissue. So I'm always meeting the body where it's at. I'm never looking to force anything. I'm never looking to, oh gosh, what's the word? Yeah, I'm not forcing. I'm listening and I'm following the body's inherent wisdom, because your body knows exactly what it needs. The tissues know exactly where it needs to go. And so I'm fully present with that. And I listen and I follow. And sometimes my hands will move, they'll engage more. Sometimes they'll like sort of do a shear or a twist as I'm following the tissues. And then once I'm really in it, then other things can come up. So the body stores emotion also. So a lot of times people might emote while they're on the table, or they're not quite aware of something that's coming up, and I'll start asking questions. And then they might remember a time that they had fallen when they were a kid, or something happened and they were really sad, or they did, they had a surgery and they were still holding on to something about it. So whatever the trauma is, whether it's physical or emotional, the body holds that as well, because, emotion is energy in motion. And so all the good emotions flow through us. It's the negative, hurtful ones that we tend to hold on to. Mm. And so I can feel and experience that in the tissue as well. So when we get into the emotions, that's called somato-emotional release. Soma is the body, right? So we're working with the body to release the emotions, which can be stored in tissues in general, or even in specific organs. Kind of along the lines of traditional Chinese medicine, different organs have different emotions associated with them.
Wow, that's interesting. I just wanted to mention, I lost your video. I can still hear you and you're still in the seat.
Okay.
But I lost your video. I don't know if anybody else did. So,
do you want me to X out and?
Yeah, can you try Xing out and come right back in?
Am I back?
Yay! I can see you again. Yeah, that was very interesting. So you were saying right towards the end that each of our organs are also stimulated by manipulating. I don't know if you want to use the word manipulating, but using the nervous system basically kind of will help the rest of the organs. I'm sorry, I missed it because I got distracted by not seeing you.
Yeah, so the visceral manipulation is a little bit of a deeper. The word is manipulation. It's really mobilization. It was created by Jean-Pierre. It's the Barral Institute. I'm forgetting it. Jean-Pierre Barral of the Barral Institute. And I think it was a bad translation of the French, because people think manipulation like you're going in and you're really like digging into the organ.
Yeah.
It's more of a mobilization, and it's still gentle. However, it's a little bit deeper than the actual craniosacral therapy, because not only are we addressing the organs, but we're addressing the ligaments that suspend the organs. So sometimes that is a little bit deeper because we're targeting a specific area. And when I first learned the visceral mobilization, I discovered that I was able to address things much quicker and more specifically than when I was only doing cranial sacral therapy, because I had more direct technique. So instead of sitting for 15, 20 minutes, let's say holding the liver, just waiting for it to do what it needs to do, I can figure out what needs to be done, address it more directly, get the organ moving again, and then move on. So we actually get, I'm going to say can get more done in a session because of that.
Yeah, that sounds, it must be pretty intense though, too. I mean, for the person on the table though, I would imagine if there's parts of them that, I mean, I know when I was holding a lot of anger and shame, there was parts of me after letting a lot of it go that I could feel it in my body, like it was like a visceral reaction. Like I could feel it come out of my stomach almost. So you are saying that it's not just about the physical pains that you could be in, but like depression and anxiety, it's going to stimulate. Does it stimulate the hormones that balance that out, or is it a balance of like the actual, just the nerve stems?
I can't really answer to whether it actually does anything with the hormones, but if things within the body are not moving, that just creates stress, right? And more stress creates more stress. So the way I look at it is what we're looking to do in a session is to almost disconnect some of the triggers. Because if you're holding some intense emotion in an organ, right, and then that organ also isn't moving, if we can get that organ mobile and free that emotion, then you're going to have one less trigger in your system. So it might be easier for you to, let's say, deal with the stress that comes up because you're no longer ready to burst at the seams.
Right, right.
So it's really peeling. It's sort of like, you know how your computer can run programs in the background that you have no idea are on?
Oh yeah, like, and we breathe without thinking about it.
Right. So the body also can have like these emotional programs and triggers running in the background that people are totally unaware of, and yet those could be things that are triggering, anxiety or fear. Depression, is a little bit. Sometimes I find a little bit more complex, but I've had a lot of women come to me with anxiety where we're able to peel away some of those layers and teach them some, breathing skills, some meditation techniques, some other tools to help recenter them so that they're not so quickly moving into anxiety. Because for a lot of people it is biochemical, but I also think if we clear away a lot of the unconscious triggers, that it makes it easier for them to adapt and flow with what's going on in their life instead of just automatically going into panic mode. And a lot of people that suffer from anxiety have really restricted diaphragms and restricted rib cage. So again, a lot of the visceral work can help open that up. And once you're breathing again, like really breathing, it's much harder to go into an anxious moment because you're actually getting oxygen, right? When you get anxiety, you tend to do the reverse chest breathing, and you're shortchanging your body. You're shortchanging.
I know that anxiety feeling, and it's true. Like until you actually experience true relaxation from it, like from everything, it was hard for me to notice in my body that I was, my diaphragm is moving like just a sliver, rather than full belly breaths. Like unless I am conscious of telling myself daily, or not daily, but every hour or whatever, like how am I feeling? Am I breathing? it can so easily slip for me. So in addition to your light touch therapies, you also give them some, some other exercises and techniques that they can use at home in between sessions. Now, is it usually like repeated sessions over a period of time, or do people just choose to keep going because they just feel so darn good?
Usually I recommend a series of sessions because we can't, like, everything is layered, right? And the body's going to present what's most pertinent at the moment. And then we need to clear away that to get to the deeper underlying layers. So normally, like if somebody's coming to me with some real, oh God, what's the word? It's not chronic, acute, thank you. It's an acute issue. I might see them weekly. Otherwise, I usually see people like every other week until we feel that the body is maintaining the sessions, that they're not backsliding at all. And then some people come in once a month or once every 2 months. You bring your car in for an oil change, right? So these people are bringing their cars in. They're bringing their bodies in for maintenance. It's just, it's maintenance is what it really is.
Sure. And it's really, to me, it's the focus, you know what I mean? You may not think that you need it in 2 months, but until you actually do it again, you're like, oh, right, that's what it feels like. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
Sometimes you don't realize how much you need it until things start just going awry. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten a treatment in 2 months. And you're, living is stressful. Living in this world is stressful. There's so much coming at us, and most of us don't do enough to take care of ourselves so that we can function well without developing, other problems.
Absolutely. I mean, I am the perfect example of this, actually. I, never cared about my health. I remember even way back, like I would be staffing our women's weekends, and I have a 6-pack of Pepsi with me because, oh my God, no sugar, no caffeine over the weekend. Like, are you crazy? Like, that just wasn't me. So for me, it was like I had to go to the hospital several times a year for a couple of years before I decided that, you know what, this could be, maybe I could do something about this, but it takes that long sometimes. Sometimes you have to hit the rock bottom before you're really willing to make the change. And it's sad and it takes a lot more work. So I always suggest that people do it preventively, but it's life. Now, with this light touch therapy, though, you can actually do this long distance, right? So say, I have somebody who's over in California that wants to, get some of your healing love. What can they do?
Right. So I also do what I call remote sessions. Everything is energy anyway. And so some of them I do with the client over the phone. So, we're talking, again, do a little bit of an intake, find out what's going on with them, find out what it is, they feel that they need to work on. And then still, I guess I would bring that energetic blueprint of their body to me, scan that energy field, and also see where the blockages and the disruptions are, and then work to release that. So like, you really can't do the visceral work remotely, but the cranial sacral therapy / energy work, you can definitely do remotely. And I've worked with some people that have had astounding results. They were very sensitive in their bodies. So they actually felt everything happening, which was so exciting for me, to be able to get that feedback.
Huh. And Judy just asked a question. Does that work help with clearing remnants of older traumatic experience that are held in the body?
I definitely think it can help clear trauma.
It no, yeah, because my science brain wants to get into that. I'm just curious, yeah, and
Again,
that's
trauma is memory stored in the tissue. It's energy. The trauma is energy. The emotion of the trauma is energy.
trapped energy.
It's wrapped up in energy. So if we can release that energy, then the body is more free to heal. It's not saying that's the only therapy you should do, It's like you've got to do other things also, whether, EMDR works for trauma, there's other things. It's like, I don't believe that what I do is the be all and the end all. I want to be part of your healing team. You need to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So I want to be one of those pieces of a person's puzzle. I don't want to be the person that they think is going to fix everything, because we all need a support team for our wellness.
And that's perfect, because so many of us don't really take we take that for granted, basically. We hope that we see the doctor once every 5 years, and that's basically all we do. Yeah, maybe we try to eat a few salads or whatever. But I mean, our bodies are, this is what's keeping us here. If we don't honor it and we don't take the time and invest in it, I mean, that's the one thing I always hear is, I don't have money, I don't have time. Well, if we don't take time to invest those things in ourselves, then I mean, we're not going to have time to do anything else.
Right. And it really is. It's an investment in your health. You're putting in the time with even preventative care, so that you're not paying the doctor's bills later, and you don't need emergency surgery, and you're not laid up with pneumonia and other things. It's really important to be proactive with your health, because once you're trying to be reactive, it takes so much longer to get better. It really does.
Yeah, it's so uphill rather than downhill. Maintenance to me is like downhill now. Like, I just have to coast. I just have to keep making those good decisions one after another. But yeah, we so often don't think about that. So Judy asked one more question. So when psychologically the issue is resolved and the body has held on to it still. So I think what she's asking is, what if you have done the personal inner growth work, and this feeling, this thing is still hanging around? Could it be still trapped in the organ or in the tissue, even though you've resolved it in your brain?
Yeah. So, as anyone who's done any sort of personal growth work knows, it's like you can think you've fully visited the issue, and then it comes around again, but from a different angle, and then you think it's all done, and then it comes around again. So yes, sometimes it's still in the tissue, and sometimes there's other aspects of it that still need to be healed. And that doesn't mean that you didn't do the work. That just means each time it comes around again, you're looking at it from a higher perspective, because you have done healing work. So it's sort of like a spiral, and instead of staying in that pit of despair or whatever it is, you're spiraling up and out, but it's different layers that are still looking to be healed. And the trauma happened. Healing the trauma doesn't mean that it never happened to you. It just means that you're no longer reactive to it. It's no longer one of those programs running in the background. It's a part of who you are. It led you to be who you've become with the healing that you've done around it. But it's no longer driving your bus.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there's, I think, things that are really, really big issues in our lives. They really hurt us for so long that it's impossible to say that, okay, I worked on my mother issue for 6 months and now it's over.
It's
done. It's all gone.
Mother issues are done. Boom, like that. 6 months. Don't we all wish?
I know. It's like the person who eats like a salad for lunch and goes, look, I ate a salad for lunch. Why haven't I lost 10 pounds?
Right.
Well, it takes a lot of really good decisions, and it takes a lot of work. And I think for me, to really get over a lot of my issues, it took having to come at it in so many angles. So I think, and that's what you're saying here, is this is just one more angle you can get at it with, like, of course, go to your doctor. Of course, follow, who you believe is best for, to give you advice for your health. But this is one more great way of accessing that, more layers, And I think
absolutely. And, especially getting it out of the tissue, because especially if it's, stuck in certain areas, you don't want that to cause any sort of actual disease,
mm-hmm.
because it's stuck there and it's festering.
Yeah.
Having the emotions trapped like that.
I mean, and we see that in people who are highly anxious or depressed. They're more likely to be sick. Anybody who's sick is more likely to be depressed. So I can really see how, storing that in your body could really affect you over time. Like I said, I'm still like working out stuff that I stuffed when I was 5 years old, and I'm almost 40 and I'm still working on my stuff. And that's just forever, I think. But I think what you're saying is if you really have a block and you don't know how to go at it, that this just might be one more way. And
absolutely.
So tell us, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us some of the other things that you use. I know that there's some other things that you use with your clients to help them get past pain or blocks.
Well, I also teach something called the MELT method.
Okay, cool.
And the MELT method was developed by somebody else that does the body work. Her name is Sue Hitzman, and she wanted to get clients out of her office, instead of them coming in every week for her to take care of them. She wanted to be able to give them a tool to take care of themselves, with something that would simulate what she was doing with her hands. So she developed this thing called the MELT method. I just so happen to have one of the tools on the floor.
Very cool.
So this is the MELT roller. You can see that it's soft, right?
Yeah.
Most of the rollers on the market are not soft. So I teach this technique where we use this soft roller and small soft balls for the hands and the feet, again, to stimulate the connective tissue, to rehydrate the connective tissue on a cellular level. So for all those people out there that say, I can't drink a lot of water because I'm peeing it out all day, you're actually, with MELT, enabling your body to take in that fluid and use the fluid, and then again help things slide and glide easily in the body, and it also helps calm and rebalance the nervous system. So this is a great tool to use if you work out, if you see a chiropractor, or, to support your chiropractic appointments, to support your acupuncture appointments, and to support your body before and after a workout so you have less pain and less injury. So that's another tool that I teach my clients so that they can do something proactive for themselves in between sessions. It just keeps the work going. It keeps them stable, and it keeps their tissue supported and responsive so that they don't backslide so much. So we can keep moving forward with the work that we do together.
It's an at-home kind of way to imitate what you do.
Yes, yes.
To kind of imitate the movements and the motions and all that you might use. Of course, it's not as good as the real thing, but I hear what you're saying. It's a really great maintenance maybe in between, and to just keep the muscles and the organs as relaxed as possible until the next.
And the connective tissue and really the nervous system. It's the nervous system that is so under addressed. I mean, even just sitting here at the computer, that can get your nervous system all fired up. Driving, watching TV, everything that we do, everything that we interact with, our body is trying to decide safe or not safe. And once that sympathetic nervous system gets really ratcheted up, it's hard for it to come back down. Ideally, they're like scales, and they're supposed to regulate. But when the sympathetic nervous system is working so hard up here, this doesn't get to do its job, so we get more and more off balance, and that's why, little things kind of bothering us more, or the body just doesn't get to recalibrate, and then we go to pick up a pencil and someone's back goes out. Because the nervous system just isn't, it's just not working. Our body is not able to repair.
That makes sense to me too, because I know when I get into my worker bee mode, or if I have a huge project that I'm trying to do, I go into like work sleep mode. Like I only work and I only sleep and everything else happens in between there somewhere. And I can get so worked up that I can't, like when I do get the time off, then like when I give myself, okay, tonight I'm not going to work at all, like I'm sitting there still like kind of amped up and thinking about like all these millions of things. Like I can't let it go to be able. So give us advice or an exercise or something we could do right now if we needed to. Could you do that? I'm just putting you on the spot there.
What is it that you're looking for? Present. Could you right now to what?
To kind of disconnect us from that overstimulation, to kind of calm us down and bring our, I know it's not part of light touch therapies because you can't, do all of us individually, but do you have like a breathing exercise or something that you tell your clients to
so what them? I like to do for my clients, especially when, and we sometimes do this in a session, and then I tell them you can do this at home too. So let's say we've uncovered some sort of nugget in their body, and this energy is just pulsing and it needs to come out, right? So I would liken that to, when you've got stuff going on in your body and the brain is spinning and you can't shut down. So what I encourage my clients to do is, if they're sitting, to have their feet on the floor, to really notice their sits bones. The people who take yoga know what sits bones are, but just really notice the bones of your pelvis in the chair. And then to close your eyes and imagine that you have, we can do it one of two ways, roots or a tube coming out of your feet and going deep into the earth, or even a tube coming out of your tailbone, again, going deep into the earth and spreading out like roots really far down into the earth. And then you can take some focused breaths and breathe and think about releasing anything that's no longer serving you, any energy that's just spinning around up in your head. With each breath, see it leaving your body through those tubes, going into the earth, and then the earth will transmute it to harmless. It's like opening up a drain, right? And then with those same roots, you can refill your body. You can breathe that energy up, that nourishing energy up from the earth, like a tree, right? Bringing that energy up. Into your body as a calming and balancing energy. So that's something that I share with my clients. And sometimes people like to breathe it out the top of their head too. Some people don't like tapping into the earth. So you can imagine almost like roots going upward, coming out of your crown chakra. And again, just especially if it's all spinning around your head, to actually breathe that energy up and out.
Yeah. That's a really nice one though. I like to think about my roots. I love trees. So, I really love them. It's kind of insane. They're just trees, but I could stare at them all day long. My husband laughs at me.
I met a tree. I met a tree somewhere up in Massachusetts over the summer, and I think it was a willow tree, and it was enormous. And the tree had such great energy, and there was this giant wind chime hanging from the tree, and I was sitting with my back against the tree, just soaking it all in, and I swear the tree was happy. Like I felt the energy of the tree, and the tree was happy listening to this beautiful wind chime. So they have energy. Trees have beautiful energy. So
I saw a study once.
Loving trees.
Yeah, I saw a study once that said trees actually exert more energy than we do over a day because of all of the leaves and everything that they have, that they're constantly moving and trying to, not trying to keep still, but, allowing to bend with whatever. I'm just babbling now, but I love trees. So no, I like the idea of getting the roots. I know one time I was told by somebody to like breathe in the white or breathe out the black. But I think this all comes back to being mindful and focused, and I think that's one of the really great things. Like even the melt helps because when we put focus on something, on the positive part of that something, we kind of manifest it, and I'm not going to go all 100% law and attraction on you, but I really think that, if we focus on wanting to be pain-free instead of focusing on the pain that's already there, I think we move towards that goal.
Right. And the other thing people forget is that pain is there for a reason. Pain is a messenger that something is not right within your body. And that whole, no pain, no gain is really a disservice. There's a difference between exercising and being unsore and uncomfortable and pushing through actual physical pain. The pain is the messenger. It's meant to make you slow down. And if you don't listen to those messages, then the body's going to send you a tougher lesson.
Oh, yeah.
And things are going to escalate until your body is literally screaming at you and you have no choice but to literally stop. You have no choice but to stop.
That was me. I had years of fatigue where by 2 o'clock, I felt like I was hitting a dead wall. And, that didn't bother me. I had all kinds of joint problems, even had a shoulder problem. Nope, just, fix that as a bandage. Just go get the shoulder surgery on, let me tell you, that's not an easy bandage.
No.
But like all of these things were happening, why can't I gain weight? Why am I always feeling ill? Why is my stomach always hurt? Like all of these things. And I ignored them going, I'll just take care of that later. I can get through it. And for years I did that. And then finally, my body said, okay, enough. How about if you go to the ER several times a year? Would you still want to do that? So I had the messages, and if I had been more aware to listen to them, if I had taken the time every day just to take, 2 minutes to myself to be aware of how my body was feeling and how I was treating it for it to feel that way, it would have been, months and months and months of pain that I could have saved myself. And so, I love that you said that, because pain, is just a symptom of something that's really wrong. It's not always the thing that we need to solve. It's like a car. If you take it to the shop 3 times for the same problem, chances are it's not, that thing isn't the problem, it's something else making that thing bad. I'd like to do a deeper metaphor, but I don't know many car parts, so
me neither.
But that all makes sense. So is there anything else you want to talk about? I'm trying to think if we missed anything on my list. Oh, just one more time. Can you go over, so if I wanted to call you up and I said that, Hilary, I really want to work on my anxiety via Skype or however you do your remote healing, I would fill out a form then, and we would discuss all of my medical history, correct?
Right, that's correct.
And then you would just discuss with me what you think the best option is for my healing, or best options, correct?
Right, and if I think that I can help you, we can certainly work together. If I think that you're better off with another practitioner, I would refer you out.
Awesome.
Or if I think you need something else in addition to what I do, again, I would make the referral. I love referring to other practitioners. Again, I want to be part of your support network, because that really brings the best results.
I really like that, and I think that that's so important. When you choose anybody for your team, I think that they should also know other people that could help. Well, maybe not you, but they should have a really strong network themselves, because I think too often we we don't always look at that. And so we'll find a doctor and he's like the only one who really thinks the way that he thinks. And that's not bad, but it's always good to have people who are looking out for your whole health, right? So I love to have a doctor who knows an acupuncturist that, you know, could be helpful, or knows somebody in other specialties that will be helpful, so that they can give me their honest opinion. And that's kind of why I put the whole summit together, is because I know that there's some people who really know stuff about health, about healing, about, you know, mindfulness, all of these topics that we have. And the reason that is because so often I think there are people who run to me with health problems, and then I realize it's not really a problem I can help them with. And I think so often they think, oh, I'm just going to try to sell them some type of health coaching program. And for me, I mean, my real passion is making sure that everybody is healthy, not that I line my pockets with money, but that you're getting the right person for what you need. And I'm not right for everybody. I'll be honest, you know, if there's people I'm not right for. But like pain, you know, I can deal with the nutritional parts of pain, but I couldn't deal with pain in the way that you could. Right? No,
and then sometimes, you know, even when people are having stomach and gut issues, pardon my dogs, can you hear them?
That's all right. It's almost 4 o'clock. They're like, enough already.
Sometimes people, you know, have stomach issues and pain issues, and again, that can go back to the visceral issues with their gut, that their stomach's not moving properly, their small intestine isn't moving properly, their large intestine isn't moving properly. They might have a hiatal hernia, you know, reflux, all those other things. Some of it is actually really physically structural. I mean, just this weekend, I was away staffing the women's weekend, and while the food was much better than Diamond Ridge, you know, it still wasn't the quality that I'm used to eating at home. Right. And my stomach started bothering, not my stomach, I'm going to say my belly, okay? My belly area started bothering me. And things were burning because everything was just, I guess, kind of shut down just from the busyness of the whole weekend. And so I was rubbing my belly, rubbing the places that I knew I needed to rub to try to open things up. And someone said, oh, what's the matter? I'm like, oh, I'm getting this burning pain. She's like, I have Zantac. I'm like, no, I don't want Zantac. I can fix this. And I did fix it. Awesome. You know, but it was really interesting how, you know, sometimes you can eat something and that can upset, you know, it can upset your stomach, and then it can affect your organs. It can actually shut things down. Stop things from moving through. And that's just awful. I've been there. Fortunately, numerous times I've been there where I've eaten something and it just shuts the whole system down. And it can be painful. So
it is painful. I know, because I have digestive issues because of my ulcerative colitis. So do you work with people who have Crohn's and colitis to help like heal those areas?
I have worked with some people, you know, and again, I'm the one that gets like the physical part of things going again, but then I always refer them to someone who can support them with nutrition, whether it's supplements, changing their diet, you know, eliminating certain things. So, you know, it's a dual combination, but you know, the Crohn's and the ulcerative colitis, that's a tough one. So that is a tough one.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, though, is about having that stuck. I saw a study the other day that said that there was a pretty large percentage of people who have Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. I think it was like 70% had like traumatic childhoods or something. Something really terrible happened in their childhood to create trauma. And so, I mean, not that that's 100%, but it's just, it makes you think, you know, do 70% of our population have traumatic childhoods, or is it, you know, are these people kind of, festering disease from all that trauma that their bodies are remembering, like just like you're saying, all that memory is in your body somewhere. It's
right,
there.
and it could be both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So not to say that one is connected to the other, but it could be, and we'll have to look at that, because I think that a lot, they say that we carry our shame in our body, and that's so destructive, just like carrying anger or guilt
And grief, all of it.
Yeah, it's so destructive. And those negative messages, I'm just kind of wrapping up some of the thoughts that I've heard you say, is the negative emotions, you were saying, they stick to us more than the positive comments and the actions that happen to us. Those kind of flow through us, but the negative can really kind of gunk us up, right?
Yes, gunk us up is a good word. Literally, things do. They get gunked up, and they get stuck and sticky, and they stop moving, and that gunks us up physically, and I think that gunks us up mentally and emotionally, and even psychologically as well.
Yeah, I think so too. So I think that's all we have. If anybody else has any questions, we'd be happy to take them. And if you think of one later, feel free to join our Facebook page. And
do you want me to put up my I can put up my website and my Facebook?
Hilary's going to put up her website, so if you want to learn more, you can. You'll know where to get her. You'll know where to get a little bit more information.
Okay, I think that came up well.
Then I didn't get it yet.
I put it in the comment box. Is that where it was supposed to go?
Hit enter.
Oh, that would help.
Here we go.
Silly little thing called enter.
So there's her website, and you can contact her. Her information is there, and she is always happy to talk to anybody about it. I just love that she was willing to come on here and share with her. It's her first blab, so everybody.
My first blab, and I opened up a Twitter account, but I don't tweet, so don't look for me there. I don't tweet.
But yeah, you can find her on Facebook too, so be sure to check out there. She's also on the To Your Best Health Facebook page too, so you can ask her any questions there, and I'll make sure she gets back to them if she doesn't see them. But I think that's it for today. That wraps up day 11, and tomorrow we are going to go in a whole different area. We're going to talk about addiction. So how people move from addiction to a healthy journey again. Such a sad number of Americans have addiction, and it seems like it's impossible to move to health, but tomorrow Kristen Moyer is going to talk to us about how it's actually possible, and it's one choice after another, and she's going to give us her magical journey. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you, Hilary, so much for joining us today and really taking the time to break down what cranial sacral is, because I'll tell you, I thought it was just somebody holding my head for a while. I had no idea.
It's a full body treatment.
Yeah, that's very cool. So now I'm going to have to make an appointment with you and see what you can do about my organs.
Cool. I have had people drive to me from Pennsylvania, so you won't be the first.
Yeah, Hilary's in Jersey too, in case anybody was wondering.
My office is in Morristown, New Jersey. Easy access from New York City on New Jersey Transit train line, and right off of 287. And not to toot my own horn, but it's worth the trip. It's worth the trip.
Awesome. All right. Well, her information is there. Thanks so much for joining us. And I am going to end